so we're going to go ahead and go over the warm-up. I'm just going to say that if you guys are not going to start putting your answers in the chat box, I'm going to just start giving you grades for the warm-ups, okay? So I need you have basically 10 minutes to have your warm-ups into the chat box done and into the chat box. So you need to get here and get your answers into the chat box, okay? Thank you. So my slope is y's over x's. Oh, so I'm going to move this down. So I've got 19 minus a negative 4 over negative 17 minus a negative 10, which is, can't do my math in my head here, 23 over negative 7. There we go. Okay, and then for the second one, same thing, y's over x's. So I've got m equals 20 minus 5 over negative 19 minus 13, which is 15 over negative 32. Okay? And then for the next two, to graph them, I'm going to make them bigger. I need to solve for y first. So divide by negative 5. Y is going to equal negative 4/5 x minus 1, where my slope is negative 4 over 5, and my y-intercept is negative 1. So on my graph, I'm going to start at negative 1, and my slope tells me I'm going to go down 4 and forward 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. Or I can go up 4 and back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Attempt to draw a straight line. Ooh. All right. Okay, there we go. Second one, add y to both sides. That's the easiest way. And I get y equals x plus 3, where my slope is 1 over 1, and my y-intercept is positive 3. So start at positive 3 on my y, go up 1 over 1, draw a line. There we go. Okay. So that was all from last lesson. We're going to go ahead and move on and start today, where we're still going to be talking about graphing lines, only this time we're really only going to be talking about horizontal and vertical lines. There will be some other ones thrown in there, but most of the time it's going to be horizontal and vertical lines. So the first we're going to talk about horizontal lines and the definition. Horizontal line is a straight line that is mapped from left to right, and it is parallel to the x-axis in the plane coordinate system. The equation is y equals some number, whatever that number happens to be, where y is any, I already said it, number. Okay, where the question mark is any number. So I want to kind of zoom in. I'll pause for a second, sorry. Hunter and Toa. I want to kind of zoom in on the picture over here for a second, because this is the definition of horizontal line, right? I have a horizontal line. Here's my x-axis right here. Here's my y-axis. Here's my horizontal line. And it goes through the point -2. The equation is y equals any number, and it's the number the number on the y-axis that it goes through, basically. So wherever it goes through on the x-axis, it's going to be y equals that, because no matter where I'm at on this line, y is always -2. Doesn't matter what x is. Okay, so that's why it's y equals -2. So now we're going to go to the vertical line definition. Sorry. Here we go. And again, a vertical line is a straight line that is mapped from top to bottom, and it is parallel to the y-axis. So a horizontal line is parallel to the x-axis. A vertical line is parallel to the y-axis in the coordinate plane system, where the equation is x equals some number. Okay, where whatever that number is what it goes through the x-axis at. So if I slide it over just a little bit, I think I can talk about the picture at the same time. Nope. Yep, there we go. So if I look at my picture over here, I'm going through my x-axis at 3, so my equation is x equals 3. Because it goes through the x-axis. My horizontal line, remember, went through the y-axis, so it's y equals. It's another way to kind of think about it. I don't know if that helps. I don't know why these are so hard to do. Good morning, Ta. Good morning, Harrison. Thanks for having your cameras on. You guys will get extra credit if you keep it on all day. Okay. So we're going over here now. So it just says, very simply, we're still going to look for the slope. We're just going to look for the slope, kind of like what we did last time. So how do I find slope? I set the equation, solve for y, basically. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides, and I get 4y equals 9. Divide by 4. Y equals 9 over 4. So I still have a y, right? But I don't have any x. So I have a y but no x. And it wants to know what my slope is. So if I have a y but I don't have an x, my slope is 0. Okay. So if I do the number 2, let's see, what do I get here? So subtract 2x, add 2, and I get 3x equals -5, divide by 3. X equals -5 over 3. Now, this equation has no y. Okay, there's no y value in that equation, right? It's just x equals. So that means it's going to be a vertical line. And if it's a vertical line, my slope is undefined. Okay? So if I have a horizontal line, which is y equals a constant, my slope is 0 always. If I have a vertical line where I have no y in the equation at all, it's just x equals some number, my slope is undefined all the time. Okay? And then the last one, subtract 2x, 3y equals -2x minus 15. Sorry, my writing's getting a little sloppy. Y equals -2/3 x minus 5. So my slope in this case should be -2/3, whatever's with the x. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. That should be long enough, 4 minutes, to find the slope for A, B, and C. Okay, put your answers in the chat box, please. Thank you. Forgot to record. MX plus B. So I have no y in this equation. Remember, we talked about that. If there's no y in my equation, that means that line is a vertical line, and the slope of a vertical line is undefined. Okay? And then for this part B, add 17, 2x equals 20, divided by 2, x equals 10. Again, no y, only an x, so that means it's a vertical line. which means my slope is undefined. And then the last one, I'm going to add 4 and 5y equals 39. Divide by 5. So y equals 39 over 5. Now this equation, I have a y, but I have no x. So if I have a y with no x, that means my slope, that means it's a horizontal line, and that means my slope is 0. All horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay, is there any questions? So if it's x equals, I just want you guys to, if it's x equals, and I'm talking about slope, then my slope is going to be undefined. So I don't know if you guys need to write that down in a different way, but if it's a vertical line, my slope is undefined. So if it's x equals, slope is undefined. If it's just y equals some number, then my slope is 0 with no x. Not sure. Is everyone okay with that? Does that make sense? Okay. And then the next thing they want us to do is they want us to graph horizontal and vertical lines. Awesome. So I want to get them in a form I can graph. So I want it to be x equals or y equals. So I'm just going to divide by 3, and x is going to equal -5. So this is how I think about it when I'm graphing these. This says x equals -5. That means x has to be -5. And if it's on the x-axis, it means it's going to be parallel to the y. I know this is weird, right? If it's on that, that's yes, JJ, that's correct. If it goes through the x-axis, that means my line has to go through the x-axis, which is this way. I think that's a better way to say it. It means that no matter what y is, x is always, this says x equals -5. So no matter what my y is, x will always be -5. Here, y is 4, but x is still -5. Here, y is -6, but x is still -5. So no matter where I'm at on that line is y equals -5. I hope that kind of makes sense a little bit. Okay, and then the next one says f of x equals 2, or 3 minus f of x. So I need to solve for f of x minus -1. So if negative f of x equals -1, positive f of x is going to equal +1. And another word for f of x happens to be y, right? So this means I'm going to go on my y-axis at 1. Okay. And then it's going to go, no matter what x equals, y always has to be 1. That's what this says. This says y equals 1. So no matter where I'm at, y always equals 1. And that's kind of how I think about it. So y is always 1. No matter what x is, y is always 1. So there's my 2 graphs. Okay, so is there any questions? You can type it in the chat box. You can say it out loud. I don't care. Make sure if you're not understanding something, you're asking a question, okay, please? Okay, so now, even though there's no way to show it yet, I'd like you guys to graph these at least on a piece of paper so you know what you're doing, because you will have these on your homework to do. Thank you. Go. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes, I think. That is not a timer. Stop the timer because the timer annoys me. So we're going to go ahead and go over this now. Sorry. So I don't actually have to do anything to A. It's already solved for Y. And basically it says, what? Let's get something to write with here. Y equals -3. So I'm going to go on my y-axis to -3. And it is a horizontal line. I think most of you guys have been saying it's a horizontal line, which is great, but it is through -3. And I think that some people just forgot the negative because you put 3, but not -3. So here is my line. Beautiful. And then for the second one, I do have to solve it. So I'm going to divide by 2 and x equals 5. And I think most of the ones I've seen through there that you guys have posted up have been great. So I'm going to go to x equals 5, +5, and it's a vertical line through 5. Nice job. Okay, good job. Thank you for posting in the chat this morning, even though it's very, very early. I don't know why it's so early, it just is, but good job, you guys. Okay, so next page, here we go. So we're going to talk about now how to graph finding intercepts. So here we go. I was trying to think about the checkpoint and I knew there was something, but I can't remember what I had to tell you about it in the intercepts. I think you just have to find the intercepts. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's been a couple months, so I'll have to look at it. But it'll be posted probably tomorrow, and you'll have through Wednesday to get it done. The second checkpoint. If you haven't done the first one, I think you have until tomorrow to finish it. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to set y equal to, sorry, I had to think in my brain. Set y equal to 0 and solve for x. And to find the y-intercept, I set x equal to 0 and solve for y. Okay? And this isn't just some random rule. I want to say this really quick. These aren't some random rules that I'm just like, you have to memorize these. If you know where an x-intercept is, right? Let's just say, I'm going to draw over this graph right now. My x-intercept is here, right? All my x-intercepts are somewhere on this line, somewhere on there. So my x-intercepts are some x value and 0. Y equals 0 always when I'm on my y. When I'm looking for an x-intercept, y is always 0. So if I set my equation equal to 0, whatever's left is my x-intercept. Okay? And I can think of it the same thing when I'm trying to find a y-intercept. I know that my y-intercept is somewhere on this axis, right? So I know the coordinate of that axis, the coordinate of the points on that axis are 0 and some y value. So I know that x equals 0 when I'm trying to find my y-intercept. X is always 0 because in my point for that, x is 0. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to make this rule up. It's not really just a rule that I made up. It's not. I just put it into simple words for you. But it's because a y-intercept, the coordinates for a y-intercept are 0 and some number. So x is always 0. Or the coordinates for my x-intercept are x and 0. So y is always 0 for that. So there is some reason logically, and that's why it works. So now I'm going to erase everything I just got done doing so we can actually graph this. I need to make this bigger. Let's try this. Oh, that really just didn't work. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to find the intercept. We're going to find the intercepts on this equation. And then we're going to graph it using the intercepts. Okay, graphing using the intercepts are really easy once you find them. But the main part that they want me to be able to do is actually find the intercepts. Can I find them algebraically without looking on a graph? Basically is what it's asking. So I'm going to find the x-intercept first. Okay, and the x-intercept says I have some number and then 0, y equals 0, right? So in my equation, wherever there's a y, I'm going to put 0. So I have 2x minus 3 times 0 equals negative 15, which gives me 2x equals negative 15. Divide by 2. So x equals, I'm going to come over here so I don't run out of room. X equals negative 7.5. Okay? I know usually I don't put it, you guys are like, why did you put it as a decimal? No, you guys aren't, because you guys do it. I normally don't put it as a decimal, but because I'm going to put it on a graph, it's easier for me to find the decimal than it is to find 15 halves. Okay, so I put it in decimal form so it'd be easier to look on the graph for it. That's why I did that. So now I'm going to find the y-intercept. Okay, and the y-intercept is, remember the y-intercept we said is 0 and then some number. So now this says wherever there's an x, I'm going to put the 0 where the x is because I'm looking for the y-intercept, different thing. So now I'm going to do 2 times 0 minus 3y equals negative 15. So I get negative 3y equals negative 15. Divide by negative 3. And y is going to equal 5. So I've got 5 here. So now I've got my intercepts. To graph them, I just plot them on my graph. So I go to negative 7.50, which is like somewhere in here, halfway between negative 6 and negative, oops, I didn't go over far enough. Halfway between negative 7 and negative 8. There we go. Okay, and then 0, 5 is here. And then really we have 2 points. To draw a straight line, I only need 2 points. I myself need more than that to draw a straight line. So this line really, I mean, you guys, I've been saying that my lines aren't going to be straight, but this line probably really won't be very straight. I almost missed my point. So there's my graph. If I have 2 points, anywhere I can draw a line between those 2 points, okay? So I graph the 2 points, draw a line through it. Questions? Or is that okay? Is anybody listening to me? Thanks, Harrison. Sometimes I feel like I'm all by myself here. That's why I miss you guys in class, man. At least you talked to me. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to find the x and y intercept and graph it, doing exactly the same thing that we just got done doing. Thanks, Andy. So I'm going to find my x-intercept. And to find my x-intercept, I'm going to set y equal to 0. So I get negative 3x plus 5 times 0 equals negative 15. And then I got negative 3x equals negative 15. I think we just got done doing this problem. 5. Only it was y instead of x. Beautiful. And I can graph it. Why not? 5, 0, 5, 0. Beautiful. And then we're going to do the y-intercept. And for my y-intercept, x equals 0. And wherever there's an x, I'm going to put 0. So I've got negative 3 times 0 plus 5y equals negative 15. So 5y equals negative 15 divided by 5. Y equals negative 3. So I've got 0, negative 3. 2 points are on my graph. So then I'm going to something like this, I guess. Draw a straight line. Okay? Questions? Because you know it's your turn, right? So when you're putting the questions in chat, I'm going to try and have at least I think I actually can have all of them. If you can't read if it's too small when I get to the next page, because I'm going to try and have all 3 of them shown at the same time. If it's too small, let me know, and we'll do 2 and then 1. Does that make sense? Just let me know. So here we go. At least I can try and get all 3 equations there. There we go. Okay. This. So I've got my x-intercept is where y equals 0. So some number right here. So I've got 0 equals 2x minus 6. Add 6. 6 equals 2x. Divide by 2. And x is going to be equal to 3. So my x-intercept is 3, 0. And then my y-intercept is always 0, some number. So I've got g of x is going to equal 2 times 0 minus 6, which equals negative 6. So that one shouldn't have been too bad. So my graph looks like 3, okay, and negative 6. Awesome. Something like that. Okay. And then, oh, come on. There we go. On the second one, we've done it before, but still. Oh, x-intercept. It's going to be some number and 0. So I've got 3x minus 5 times 0 equals negative 15. Or 3x equals negative 15, divide by 3, and x is going to equal negative 5. So negative 5, 0. And then my y-intercept is going to be 0, some number. So x is 0 this time, so I've got 3 times 0. Minus 5y equals negative 15. So negative 5y equals negative 15. Divide by negative 5. And y is going to equal 3. So 0, 3. There we go. Okay, there we go. For that one, and then the last one, x-intercept is going to be some number 0. So I've got 3x plus 2 times 0 equals negative 18. So 3x equals negative 18. Divide by 3. X equals negative 6. Negative 6. Okay. And the y-intercept is going to be some number and a y value. So I've got 3 times 0 plus 2y equals negative 18. 2y equals negative 18. I'm running out of room. Y equals negative 9. So 0, negative 9. Not on my graph. I'm just going to pretend it is. It's right there. It's close enough. So kind of looks like that. Questions? Everyone okay with finding x and y intercepts? Okay, awesome. Look, we're doing great. I don't even know what time it is, but we're doing fantastic. Awesome. Okay, so how to determine if I'm looking at just an equation. If they did give me just an equation, how do I tell if it's linear or not? That's the question I'm asking now. How do I tell if it's linear or not? Well, there's pretty easy. If it's linear, Oh, okay, I did spell it right. I was like, oh, I spelled it wrong. If it's linear, it has three forms. If it's an equation form. It has y equals mx plus b, right? If I solve for y, it should be in the form y equals mx plus b. Or it could be in the form y equals c, where c is a constant, right? C is just some constant, some number. Or it could be in the form x equals c, again, where c is just some constant. I'm just going to put over here, c equals a constant. So you know what that is. Okay. So what does it look like if it's not linear? What are some equations that it would look like? Well, it could have roots in it, right? Roots aren't linear, like a square root, a cubed root, a fourth root, fifth root. Any type of root is not linear. If it's got, I'm going to write the word quadratic, but it could be a cubic or a quartic or quintic or anything like that. So it could be anything quadratic with a exponent, right? A quadratic, or I'm going to put in this in here, exponent. Exponent that does not equal 1. Okay, because y equals mx plus b does have an exponent. X has an exponent of 1. Okay, so that's okay because it's an exponent of 1. So any exponent that's not 1. And why I said that, because what if I had an exponent of a half or a third or a fractional exponent? Still not linear. Okay, and then I think the last one I want to talk about, I think, is if I have an x in the denominator. Denominator. Okay, denominator. So if I look at y equals mx plus b, my variable or my x is in the numerator. Okay, I don't have an x in the denominator. We haven't started talking about that yet. That's like fourth quarter for us. We're not going to even talk about that till fourth quarter if I have an x in my denominator. The other way I can tell if there's an issue is if I can put it into a graphing calculator, you guys. I mean, if they're giving me an equation, I can pop the equation into a graphing calculator as long as it's y equals, and I can see if it's linear or not. So if you have a graphing I can't even talk today. A graphing calculator, or use Desmos. I've kind of showed, I think in this class I've showed you how to use Desmos a little bit. It works to show you if it's a line or not. You guys know if something's linear. Linear means line. Okay? So if it's got a curve in it somewhere, or a V, like absolute value. I forgot about absolute value. Absolute value is not linear because it's a V shape, right? So those are not linear equations. So we're just going to look at equations and tell if it's linear or not. That's it. Determine whether each equation is linear. Find the slope of any non-vertical line. So if it's not vertical, because if it's a vertical line, my slope is undefined, so there is no slope really, right? So I have to find the slope. If it's linear, I'm going to find the slope. If it's not linear, I just stated it's not linear. That's it. Okay? And here we go. Pretty easy. I want to kind of keep that here so you can see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is solve for y. So I distribute, right? So I get 3y equals 14x minus 28. Divide by 3. And y is going to be 14 thirds x minus 28 thirds. That's really ugly. But is it linear or not? That's the question. Is that a linear equation? Yes or no? Nice, Ofa. Yes, it is. Ofa says it's linear, which it is, because it's y equals mx plus b. Lovely. I don't care if it's an ugly fraction or not. It's still in the form of y equals mx plus b. So what is my slope of that line? What's the slope of my line? You can either say it out loud or you can type it in the chat box, but I can sit here and wait for you to answer my question. What's the slope of the line on number 1 that we just got done doing? Yes, Sione, good. 14/3. Slope is the number with x, right? Y equals mx plus b slope. Okay, we did that yesterday or the day before. I don't remember which day it was. Okay, and when I mean yesterday, I mean last class, so that would have been Tuesday. Okay? That's okay. Okay, so number 2, I still want to solve for y. So what am I going to do to solve for y? What do I need to do to the equation to get y by itself? Does anybody know? Why are you saying that, Ofa? You didn't answer the question I asked, but I just want to know why you said that. How do I get my y by itself, you guys? What do I need to do?
Divide by x.
Divide by x. Beautiful. Because this is x times y. How do I undo times? I divide. So y equals 10 over x. No, your first answer was correct. I just didn't know why you said it, Ofa. Because now, where's my x at? My x is in the denominator, right? So we said it's not linear if what? I look right up here. If x is in the denominator, so this is not linear. Don't change your mind, just explain your answer sometimes. Okay? I want you guys to change your mind because I can't see on your papers what you're writing or your thought processes. So sometimes I just want you to write why you said your answers. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. And then the last one says, I'm not sure what it says. Okay, I do know what it says. Solve for y. And where's y at? Well, y is right here. F of x is y. So I'm going to subtract 2x. And I get 4 f of x equals negative 2x plus 8. Divide by 4. Whew. F of x is going to equal negative 1/2 x plus 2. Linear or not linear? Linear, nice. Okay, and what's my, so since it's linear, what's my slope? Negative 1/2, very good. Okay, awesome. Now it's your turn. I think you have, okay, we're gonna go ahead and finish this really quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna subtract by 40 here. Oh. Subtract 40 and I get 8x equals negative 40. Divide by 8. X equals negative 5. Is it linear? Not linear. Linear. Good. Good. You guys putting some answers in there. Thanks, Hunter, for putting in an answer. And since it's a vertical line, I don't have to find the slope because it's vertical. That's what the direction said. So I don't have to do that. And then on the last one here, I'm going to divide by 4. And I get g of x equals 6 over 4x times x squared. And this one, because it has this little x squared, is not linear. Okay? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to